All right, I think it's recording now. All right, so as y'all can see, we sitting here with Jarri. This is a long time coming. Been wanting him on the show pretty much since the show started. One of the reasons is, like we were just talking about before we started, I've actually, and me and Quincy have actually been able to see like how you've grown and like the things that you've been doing over the years. And we have the cool like point of view where like we actually seen your like, you get into the point now where you're gonna, you're right on that verge of becoming that, nationwide comedian, nationwide personality. And we actually can kind of see where that, we can see that 10-year overnight success story for you, like up close and personal. You know what I'm saying? From, doing open mics in downtown Orlando, having your own shows in smaller venues, having your own shows in bigger venues, hosting and performing at a lot of big venues. You've been to New York for the Kings of Comedy in New York tour. You opened there. I mean, you've been all over the place with it. You performed in Cali. I mean, you performed all over the place. And something that we were even touching on before also was just how people get so stuck on their own opinion and it kind of like hinders them. And I know somebody like you that has done so much and has made all these moves, that's something that you learned and that you live by. So kind of break that down and even break it down from the point of view of somebody that's going to different places and experiencing the world in a different way, how much that really hurts you.
Word. Yo, well, shit, first, I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, pointing that out, the 10-year process, man, because lately I've been getting frustrated a lot dealing with like people who are new to this whole process. They view it as like, oh shit, you're 10 years in, you should be Kevin Hart, you should be this, you should be that. It's like, bro, like you gotta I know social media gives you that illusion of instant gratification, but it's a lot of people who blow up on social media and then that's it. Like that one video they're stuck in that gimmick, you know what I'm saying? 10 years from now, we're gonna see where they at. So like, yeah, man, it's definitely been a long time coming. But as far as like just people's mentality on social media, man, like it kind of, it's like it's kind of why I kind of slowed down on posting content. Like I still put up posts on social media and stuff like that, but just seeing how small-minded people are with their opinions and just how they're just so stuck to them, it just makes me realize how closed-minded people are. And like, I don't know how receptive people will be to some of the stuff I say. I feel like I can't really present my art the way that I want to because like, there may be some like truthful undertones behind it, but at the same time, like majority of the time it's a joke. Mm-hmm. Like you still got to be open-minded enough to appreciate the joke aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? I've heard jokes about literally everything you can think of. And every time I hear one, I'm not like, oh man, that guy's a bad person. Let's ruin his whole career and take everything away from him. You know what I'm saying? I've heard jokes where I'm just like, you're corny for doing that. But it just seems like on social media, everybody has this like mob mentality and it's really getting in the way of their growth. It's like the opposite of being smart. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just stuck to this one thing and you have no, I think they call it like, just crystallizing the fluid intelligence. Like you have to be able to like be open to new things and you know what I'm saying? And social media is like the complete opposite of that, man. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Nah, I've gone to posting more neutral, kind of content that I know I'm not gonna get a full backlash from like a whole mob of people that follow me. Yeah. Because I just think I don't want to argue with nobody. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying like at all. Like I have personal conversations with people I know personally, like Les and Quincy. So it's not like I don't want to talk about it, but not to a bunch of random strangers online, man. And that's how everybody is. Like sometimes I put something that I don't think I'll get a reaction. I get crazy reactions like, bro, you gotta relax.
Yeah. But I also noticed, one thing I've noticed too, Jarri, when you do post things, even though, it may be offensive to some, there's always like you mentioned, like a subtle truth to it, Yeah. And with that being said, one of the things that I noticed is that different posts gets a different reaction out of different people. Oh, and, sure. It's like, at the end of the day, like you said, it does take a person to have somewhat of an open mind to be able to laugh at the joke within the truth, And yeah. I think that's where it's real weird for, you know, artists, not just even just comedians, but just people that do anything to express themselves, to put things out, because it's like, you know, you want to put out your truth, but then it's like nobody trying to, like Joe said, nobody trying to deal with, you know, all that BS on, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even trying to see that really. Like if I could instantly mute it, I would, but I got to see it to mute it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, go ahead.
You know something people say to me a lot? They're like, oh, you post stuff to get people riled up. And like, I promise you, like, that's not my intention when I post stuff. Like, I'm not like, oh, let me think of something that's gonna like stir the pot. Like I'm really just telling people how I honestly feel about some shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't really see like why is it so. It's like what Kanye said, people hate black niggas with ideas. Like I'm gonna tell you my ideas, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just about to go with the status quo all the time. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
And kind of even like to piggyback off that, like from somebody outside looking in, when I see your posts, I kind of look at it as you're kind of analyzing it out loud, and you're kind of looking at both sides, or maybe looking at a side that somebody's not really analyzing. Because this is like a big thing for me, and I kind of feel like it's the same thing with you. I feel like you can always understand why somebody feels the way they feel, because the circumstances that go into their lives are different than yours.
Right.
Something led them to believe that. You're just trying to understand what's leading you to believe that. It may not be something you agree with. It may not be something that you think is right. It might not be something you think is wrong. Whatever the case is, it's a thought, it's an opinion, it's something that's out there. You talk about it, you analyze it, you move on, but that's that piece. Some people can't move on. They can't understand somebody.
They can't let it go
at all. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't understand why somebody can be a certain way, but it's like, bro, imagine, you know, you've been seeing that for 3 generations, and that's what's been drilled into your head. Mm-hmm. That person is being closed-minded, not seeing the other side also. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be able to understand that sometimes there's so many, you know, passages closed that's, you know, creating the situation. You know what I mean?
Right. It's a lot of different variables that go into the entire situation. It's just funny though, man. Everybody's a genius. Everybody's an expert. Everybody knows everything. And then here's my thing though, like, people can feel how they want to feel. I just want them to be real. Like, just be honest. Do you really feel that way, or are you just saying that to sound smart? Are you just saying that because that's the right thing to say? Are you just saying that because it makes you look like a good person? And that's why I always keep receipts when people be talking their shit, because the situation is going to show its head again. It's just going to be in a different form. And I'm going to be there like, hey, remember when this was going on? You were saying this. But now it's hitting a little closer to home, and now you're saying something else. What's going on? Like, are you being real, or are you just being this Instagram politician?
And that kind of goes to a concept that we talk about on the show too. Just, you know, how people are, you know, we all have the same 24 hours. We all see different things, and we all think a different way. But there's some people, for whatever reason, that thinks that everybody thinks in their way should think like them, and if they don't, then they're wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, no, that's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? We might have different perspectives, and we might see things a little different. And shoot, we both might be wrong, to be real with you. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It's all about perspective.
Man, I'm in a space right now where I'm not arguing with nobody no more, man. Half these people don't mean what they say. They can't stand on it, and like, who cares what they think? They're like, they're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna have to start paying me a master's class fee to fix these people, man. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, like, a dope side of that, like on a personal tip, is you know, me, you, and Quincy kind of came up together at the same time in the same area and everything. We never really ran in the same circles like that, but I feel like we've always kind of respected each other's what we doing, the grind, the passion, because you know, you don't have to be in the same field or same situation as somebody to recognize, oh, they got these qualities. You know, this person's gonna be all right, and they're gonna figure it out, and they're gonna do their thing because they've always been that way. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's another angle of like how people kind of misconstrue a situation, because it's like, really what you got to think about is, you as Jarri, you got to worry about what Jarri got going on. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to do the best for Jarri the best way that you know how to do it. I gotta respect that no matter what.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the part where people mess up, because it's like they don't have that respect for you doing what you do off rip. So you're already starting off at the wrong foot. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, people are weirdos, man. I be dealing with so much weirdo energy from people, man. Like, I feel like people be, it might be a symptom of social media or just as, I don't know what it is, but people be having like, you ever talk to somebody and you can tell that the conversation they're trying to have with you is rehearsed? Like they're like, okay, when I see him, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna do that, and like I'm just like, man, can you please just leave me alone, bro? Like you're ambushing me with bullshit right now. It's not even fair. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here thinking about fucking SpongeBob SquarePants and shit, and you want to pull up talking all this nonsense. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. And kind of tapping back into what we was talking about before, you know, being in the position you're in as far as what you've been doing in the city and how many people you do interact with, this is an aspect that you could touch on that I have no experience with, because me as an artist, yeah, I have to interact with people, but I'm really kind of left to my own devices, and I create how I create and then I put it out. You know what I mean? You're like with the people all the time, like that's like a requirement, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, how does that even kind of mess with your process and how you're like doing your thing? Like the fact that you still have to deal with the politics of the 20 people that are constantly involved in your life all the time, you know what I mean?
That's something that I didn't really get too aware of. Like I was aware of it, but I didn't understand how much it was affecting just my outlook on things until I stopped, you know, being so involved with the nightlife and doing events and da-da-da because of COVID and everything else. I took it like, I want to say like 2 years off, a little over 2 years off away from everything. And then now that I'm starting everything back up, I'm just coming back into it with like a clear mind. I'm just like, wow, like this shit was really stressful. Like, like having to always be around people and just maintain that same level of energy and just interaction and shit. I'm gonna be honest, like I'm an introvert. Like I'm perfectly okay with just walking into a room and not saying hi to nobody and just go sit in the corner and literally just vibe. And it's not like me in a bad mood. I'm just like, I don't know, I kind of do this thing. Yeah, like I kind of do this thing that I'm noticing. I like fast forward through situations a lot, and it kind of takes me out of the moment. But like when I go to like certain events and stuff, I just like, you know what I'm saying? I already know how it's gonna go. I know the deal. The music's gonna be there. The girls are gonna show up. The dudes are gonna smoke. They're gonna have the hookah. You know what I'm saying? This person's gonna say that. This person's gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave and go home. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just like an example. But I do that a lot, and it takes away from what I should be doing. But that's just me. But as far as like having to be around people and stuff like that, man, like it's a catch-22 because in-person interaction is the best way to interact with somebody, because you get the whole deal, the body language, the tone, and all of that. It's the most genuine. So you do get to see like people's true self, or at least as much as they'll like expose to the world. But at the same time, it's like they get to see you. You know what I'm saying? Some days you might just be in a bad mood and not really want to be outside and talking to people. But you know, like, you gotta bake the bread. The bread gotta get baked. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be outside. So it's a catch-22, but I like it though, man, because you get to be hands-on. And I feel like that's a big factor in why like a lot of my comedy shows do well, because I do have that, you know, in-person, genuine connection with people.
Yeah, that's real. And I'm gonna give you your flowers now, because I commend you, because I know, like, I don't know if you know, Les, I don't think we ever really talked about it, but like me and Jarri, we went to middle school together. You know what I'm saying? So I like
way back,
you know, way back. And like, you know, obviously, like, you know, around high school, like going into college, that's when we the roads kind of, you know what I'm saying, went different ways. But the introvert personality that he's talking about, I was there to see that personality. You know what I'm saying? So it's like dope to see how much you've grown as not only a person, but to be able to turn that switch on and off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I really had to like create like I don't want to say create, because then it sounds like just like fake, but I know how to be my genuine self and still be like extroverted without like, you know, having to compromise and be like some corny little fake cornball. But it did take a while, man. I was like outside for a minute and I just didn't talk to nobody. Like, I'm just like, man, I don't need, like, my thing is like, I don't like, and it's like networking arena that people, oh, you know, you got to be outside and networking, I don't like talking to people if I don't have nothing to offer them. So I don't care if like this person can help me do this and that. Why am I about to go talk to that man and tell him what? I'm Jarri and I got some jokes, then what? You know what I'm saying? Like that's I don't know, but it just took me a minute to figure out how I wanna approach this, you know what I'm saying?
You tapped into something real cool that I haven't even thought about, and I'm really curious myself. Like, you're somebody that was out a lot, giving your energy out a lot. How did it feel like it's so suddenly just stopping? Like, how did you physically feel, like energy-wise, spiritually, when that stopped and you weren't sharing your energy with so many people? You were by yourself a little more, you were with your family a little more. Like, how did that feel?
Well, I mean, that's why I'm fat now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna lose the weight soon, though, man. I'm trying to get some kind of nutritionist or something to sponsor me first, so I can make it seem like they did it, but it was really all me. But it was weird, but I'm not gonna lie, I appreciated it a lot. Like, it felt good. It kind of sounds messed up to say because we're going through a pandemic and people was outside dying and, you know, they laying in the middle of the street shit. But I'm like, it felt good to be able to take a break without feeling like I was falling behind, because everybody had to take a break. So it was good to like not have a guilty conscience. Because a lot of times if I go out of town and I'm just trying to like vacate or something for a few days or something, I do start feeling like, all right, man, when I get back, I got to get back to it. Because, you know, I took a few days off. But with the pandemic, it was just like, nigga, everybody going broke. You know what I mean? Everybody's on unemployment now. We waiting on these stimulus checks. Let me just chill with the fam, run up these Gears of War rankings real quick. Damn. Conscious clean, man. I appreciated it though, man, and again, it just really gave me a clear mind coming back into it, because like when you're doing like club promoting and stuff, man, it's so easy to get sucked into like the gossip and the politics and the small mindedness of it sometimes, because it does get petty. And as much as you want to like be on some like, man, I'm not gonna be on that, dog, it gets you, because it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Every day.
Yeah, like at some point you're gonna feed into it a little bit. You could avoid it 9 out of 10 times, but that one time that you like feed into it a little bit, that's what people is gonna act like that you're on. Like, I'm not on that. Like, you know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers just keep trying me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird, but it was a cool little break, man.
How was it for you adjusting to people that are so comfortable with saying things that usually gets them punched in the face?
Man, I literally just laugh, man. Like, my bad. I don't know. I don't take people seriously enough to, like, you know what I'm saying, really care too much about them, because I don't know, man. Especially in situations like that, I'm just like, man, this person is just, it's like The Sims or some shit. Like, this nigga's not even a real person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, what are you even doing out here talking crazy? And, you know, people be satisfied, man.
Would you say you hold back at all on anything with your comedy or your content?
Content wise, the stuff that I do hold back is for a good reason. It's because it's only funny to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, but, I don't feel like I censor myself too much on stage or anything, because I don't really have interest in like going over the top just for like shock value. Like, I do have like bits that I feel like people would be like, oh wow, you went there with it, but I'm not really doing it for the sole purpose of doing that. It's just like, you know what I'm saying, just something I thought was like interesting or clever or something. But I don't really have too much like stuff where I feel like, oh man, you're going too far, because like, I don't know, man. So, I try to have some like substance to it.
So you used to rap back in the day.
Oh man.
Did you bring any of that creativity, writing style, any of that stuff? Did it translate to the comedy at all?
I'm gonna be honest, that's like my secret weapon. Like, going into comedy, like, because the way I used to write raps and stuff, I used to get real analytical with it. Like, I would count my syllables. Like, I don't repeat words. Like, even in my posts, I'm mad that I even said that out loud. I shouldn't even said that. I don't repeat words in my posts. I try to find a different way to say it, because once you like say the word, and then you say it again, it takes away from the punch because they're already thinking about the word that you had just said. So you gotta like find a different way to say it. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I used to do in my raps, and I do that in comedy. Something else I realized in comedy too, that I didn't know that like people already knew. It's like already a thing, but it's like the rule of threes. I realized like it's like an audio thing. Like, so if you're writing a joke, say I'm giving a list, right? And I'm just like, man, I was at the store and you won't believe what I saw. I saw a cat, I saw a dog, and a cow. Like, for whatever reason, like the third point makes it funny. Like it's comedic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I realized that with jokes, and then I saw it in like somebody posted like a book about it or some shit. I'm like, damn, y'all niggas knew about this shit?
Yeah, man. Now I look at comedy a little different now, man. I don't know if you know, like Vice does the dark side of these documentaries, like of wrestling, the dark side of wrestling, the dark side of 90s, but not. They're doing the dark side of comedy, and the first episode was Chris Farley, and then just a commentary about what like comedy is and like the kind of place you have to put yourself to make other people laugh, and the way you got to do it just to get a reaction out of them. These complete strangers. It's like. And that's why they're like, comedy is crazy. Like, you really got to put yourself in the play. And I think just artists in general, but I'm learning that about comedy too. And hearing like the process of creating stuff is cool. A side I've never really seen or heard of.
That's what I was gonna say, Joe. I feel like even like let's say somebody like 50 Cent, like, you know, that's a dark life, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that got him to the point that made him 50 Cent is stuff that nobody would have ever wanted to go through in their life. You know what I mean? It's like some of the worst stuff you could go through as a person, but look where it got him. You know what I'm saying? You think about a Richard Pryor, you listen to his life, dog, nobody wants to have that life. You know what I'm saying? But it made
They got an episode about him I'm interested in watching.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of these, like, you know, artists that are on that level, you know, even I'm looking at Michael Jackson right now. Michael Jackson, bro, like, you hear his life and it was crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, a lot of times, you know, that kind of thing creates that level of artist, you know what I'm saying? Which, you know, is not always the case, obviously, because from what I understand, Dave Chappelle's life was pretty normal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have much, like, you know, crazy stuff going on in his childhood, but he's still all-time great comedian, you know what I'm saying, you know, on that Mount Rushmore. So it's not, you know, it's not a rule, you know what I'm saying, but it's also something that's, you know, evident a lot of times.
It's crazy. It's crazy you mentioned that, because I was talking about that the other day, because I just found out, like, I guess Michael Jordan had like a tough childhood. I didn't know it. Like, the way they presented his whole family was like, it was like a wholesome, just Southern family, you know what I'm saying? And then I don't want to get into the details. I'll be seeing Marcus Jordan around downtown and shit. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, put his family business out there. But he went through some shit, and I'm like, man, you can't really even compare LeBron and Jordan no more, knowing like what Jordan went through, because they always say Jordan's mentally tougher. Like, yeah nigga. Decades of child abuse, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's kind of like unfair to even do that now. Like, of course he got a killer instinct. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm not shocked.
Yeah, man, I gotta abuse my kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to raise some untalented.
It's funny, like, especially like, I mean, I know for me, and I know I can speak for Quincy, but like, you know, I came from very humble beginnings. So like my kids, like, they don't have really problems, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to kind of try and figure out a way to kind of give them that pushback so they can build those skills, but you kind of have to make it artificial. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not really dealing with it in real life.
Dog, the worst thing is seeing somebody who came from like just a great family, great background, parents still together, loving, caring, supportive, and they're just a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
That shit is terrifying, because it's like, damn, bro, that could be my kid. What if I'm giving I'm working so hard to give my kid this great life, and they're just like still just a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy, man, because I remember when I was in middle school, there wasn't that many middle schools built in Orlando at that time. So we went to a middle school in Waterford, you know what I'm saying, when Waterford was first built. So, you know, when Waterford was first built, it was like, yo, that was like the spot in Orlando, you know what I mean? And we went to that middle school. So obviously we went to a middle school that had money, and we didn't have money. But the funny thing was all the kids from that middle school wanted to kind of be on the vibe that we was on in Wentworth. And it was like, we were looking at them like, dog, are you crazy? Like,
Right.
you have a house, like, you
Right.
have money, like, you guys are fresh, you got Jordans on, you know what I'm saying? Like, why y'all want to come hang out over here? You know what I mean? Like, we should be hanging out at your house. Like,
Right.
them kids had movie theaters in their houses. You know what I'm
Facts,
saying?
dude.
Some of them have mansions. Like, these are like well-to-do people, and they're wanting to come hang out in an apartment complex that's income restricted. For what reason? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so crazy to me.
Streets is a myth.
Yo, yeah, I'm glad you said that, man. Because
Streets is
man,
a myth.
you should give a little brief history of that and like what it entails, because I always find it so interesting when these things happen, because everything you're saying, I feel like you're saying the opposite side of what Wallow be saying in the $1 Million Worth of Game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're saying the same thing, but just a different language.
Yeah. Streets is a myth. I'm gonna be real. The first time I heard that phrase, it was perfect. Troy Ave said it in the interview in the Breakfast Club, and I'm like, there it is. He finally found a way to put it into words, because I've always felt that way, but I just haven't like thought of just a quick way to say it. So it's just something I kind of just coined after that. Like, man, I'm gonna just, you know what I'm saying, keep it real short and sweet. By the way, he did put me on his album, man. Gave me no credit, nigga. So I'm taking Streets as a myth.
Hey, man. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was super dope, and I kind of feel like that went under the radar.
It did.
People around here didn't really know what was going
What
on.
was it, the skit?
Yeah.
Man, one of Troy Ave's albums that he dropped a few years ago, he used one of Jarri's videos that he posted in his story as the skit in the album.
I bet you I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yep.
Nigga ain't give me no credit though. It's all good, Troy.
Yeah.
When you see
That's
the Streets of this shit popping up, nigga, I don't want to hear no crying, nigga. Nah, Troy's actually cool though. I met him a couple of times. He came downtown and shit, and like we chopped it up or whatever. It was cool. It wasn't no fake little weirdo like type, oh, you're famous type deal going on. He was just, you know what I'm saying, just a cool nigga. But Streets of the Myth, man, I feel like it's something that really can like, it can really just start opening people's eyes to a lot of the just misconceptions we have growing up, man. Like, I really look back and just be like, wow, we was really out here wasting our time. Like, wasting our time, bro. Like,
for real.
Wait, like, it's so much useless information that I know that I'm just like, bro, like, I could have been learning how to fix cars this whole time and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll tell you something about that. I kind of feel like this is something that is specific to Orlando, because I hear a lot of other like when I hear a lot of podcasts when they talk about like growing up in different places, this is one big difference that I saw from Orlando. And I know because I lived it and because you said it just now. Orlando wasn't really on the money-making tip on the street side.
Facts.
Like, there's people in the streets wasn't really, like, obviously there was people making money, you know what I'm saying? There was people doing their thing, you know. It's not saying that nobody was making money out here, but the normal street stuff that you was on, none of them people was worried about making no money.
None.
You know what I'm saying?
It was about reputation.
It was literally about being street, and that's it. It started there, it ended there. And that was the big thing that always, like, that never made sense to me. I was like, bro, why are we trying to do all this and that, but we're just still standing here not doing nothing? We still struggling. Like, what are we really doing? You know what I'm saying? And people will look at you crazy because you're asking those questions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You scared?
Yo.
No, nigga, I'm hungry.
I'm scared of wasting my life.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that was a big thing. It was like, yo, everybody was in a rush to be lazy, bro.
Yeah. Waste their time, man. Nah, 100%. Cause I'm thinking back to like a lot of the street dudes that were living in our neighborhood. Cause I lived on Riverfront, which was like the cousin of Wentworth.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of the street dudes over there is like, there's no way they was getting money. There's no way. They was dirty. They was too old to be hanging out with us.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I can't see myself. I'm 31 now. I can't see myself being on a block hanging out with some 14-year-old kids talking about, yo, let me QB. Let me QB. Like,
we're at that age right now that they was just hanging out with us all the time, bro.
Teenagers, bro. Imagine going on the block and hanging out with a 14-year-old kid, but like not on some like, oh, I'm the OG. I'm just looking out of my neighborhood. My kid's gonna be out here playing with y'all. Just literally hanging out. Like, He go with her now? Oh, they dating now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
knowing all the gossip
type shit. Like,
and bro, that goes back to the streets as a myth, bro. We, even at 14, 15, thought that shit was normal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we had no issues with this grown ass motherfucker passing the blunt. You know what I mean? Like,
we didn't know.
Man. Yeah. It's crazy. I think now that I think about it, we all had definitely the same types of dudes.
Yeah, because
on the block.
You grew up the same way, but just like a couple years before us. But you were in the same situation, same setting, and everything.
Doing the same shit, and then one day I was like, "Yo, I got to do something else."
Yeah, man.
And that was it. And that's where a lot of friendships, you know, we had a big group of friends, and like half the group never left that mentality, and the other half did, and the other half stuck together for like 20 years. And
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm at a point now where I be liking to cut motherfuckers off, dog. I be looking forward to that shit. Like, you want some fuck shit? Watch this. See you later. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody, I don't care, nigga. Like, I know motherfuckers post memes and shit like this because they want to sound cool, but I really mean this shit. Like, anybody I stopped dealing with, they have not progressed an inch from where I left them at, bro. They've either got worse or stayed in that same spot. And I can't wait to give my Grammy speech one day and point that out. That's all I'm gonna say. Like,
Dog, it's crazy because I was even talking to my wife about it the other day. Like, I literally have multiple people that I grew up with that we was friends that have went crazy. Like, literally crazy, like crazy mental institution, on medication, like can't be by themselves type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, when you look at that kind of stuff, and it's like, and that's another thing. That's kind of why I was like asking you earlier, like, how is it dealing with people that usually would get punched in the mouth? Because like, we come from an environment that's so different than what most of America's on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we didn't even grow up in like something crazy like Chicago.
Right. That's the first place I was thinking when you said that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we were nowhere near that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was still crazy enough that most people that you interact with have not been through what you've been through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like a crazy dynamic kind of going through those situations and like making that transition from a boy into a man from that when like a lot of people wasn't really there to show you what a man really should be. You know what I'm saying? Bro. Like you said, bro, we had dudes late 20s, 30s, 40s, bro. Like I remember there was people out there up to 40 just hanging out, calling downs to play ball. Like it was crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like something that, like you said, I can't imagine me doing that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine I just pulled up to a neighborhood around the corner and was just posted out there, like
posted, like just
who's the best high schooler in basketball in here?
Like not giving them no kind of guidance or nothing. Like you're literally just out there to be in the mix, like it's a let out, and you just and getting fresh too. They used to get fresh on us. They used to get fresh on us, dog.
That goes straight back to the streets because that kind of shit is clown shit, bro.
Imagine putting on your Sunday's best. Go to the place.
Survive, and you next to a volleyball court. Like, what is you doing?
Like, this shit whack. Like, it should be for you.
Yo, niggas used to say that shit for real, dog.
This shit whack.
This shit whack.
Y'all gonna do this all day? Like
oh my God.
Right.
We doing what we supposed to be doing. Like, you ain't supposed to be playing kickball, bitch.
Niggas ain't. You know what it is, though? I will say, though, I try to, you know what I'm saying? I try to be devil's advocate or whatever, but they ain't have social media. I feel like social media advanced our outlook a lot because we get to see, like, we have access to a lot more information. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
We only knew the neighborhood, just how they only knew the neighborhood.
I'm in that like little transition period where I was old enough when the social media wasn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I remember that I didn't know what the hell was going on anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like all I knew was Wentworth. All I knew was that area, like what was going on there. I literally had no clue what was going on anywhere else because how were you gonna know if you never seen it? Nobody's showing you. Nobody's teaching you it. You know what I'm saying? So like even just having that information and access changed the game. Like honestly, bro, like for me, I always felt like when we got to a certain point in human evolution with the social media and everything, I felt like we got past the point of what humans really need to have emotionally. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like us as people, we're not supposed to be able to pull up a device and see what somebody's doing for breakfast on the other side of the world.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a natural thing. I'm not supposed to be able to open my phone and see, like, bro, you go to the Instagram Explore page, and that's just people doing random stuff in random places all over the world, like, and you're just seeing it, like, from their literal point of view. Like, it's a crazy thing to think about. Like, I feel like us as people, like, we wasn't really supposed to see that, because it's like really messed up our thinking and our point of view. Because dog, when you wake up and see somebody that lives in Greece, that they waking up and they living on the edge of a cliff, and it's a crazy, you know, ocean
walk out,
right next to the Coliseum or something like that. Like, bro, you looking at that and you waking up in Orlando, like, bro, like, I already lost.
Right. Like, you shouldn't be able to keep tabs on your ex. You know what I'm saying? Like, go to the pay. Oh, then you work here now? You with him now? Like, back in the day, that's not some shit you could do. You know what I'm saying? But now you do all that weird shit. I was thinking though when you were saying that, because like, as far as like the entire population, I can definitely see that being like a mental and emotional deterrent. But there are some people who are able to be conscious of like, okay, this is a privilege for me to be able to see people in Greece jumping off of cliffs into the blue ass water and shit. You know what I'm saying? So it may not have that much of an effect, but it kind of comes back to like what we were saying about like, you know, people growing up in tough environments and being like mentally tougher. I kind of wonder who is that really going to benefit, and who is that going to be the biggest detriment to? People who are like mentally weak that may have grown up coddled and privileged in a way? And will it benefit people who grow up in tough situations where they're like, damn, I got to go out there and see that? You know what I'm saying? Because they appreciate it for what it is instead of looking at it as something that they're entitled to. They're looking at it as something that they can work towards. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wonder 20 years, 15 years down the line, like what social media is really going to look like and who's really going to like have the biggest voices on there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on like the need for, I don't want to say attention, because it is attention, but not really that word. But basically just like the need for validation, I guess you can say, when it comes to people on social media, how they look at it, you know what I mean? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I try to play devil advocate to everything, man. And I play devil advocate to this topic a lot in my mind. And every single time, man, it's just disgusting. Like, it's disgusting, man. Like you should have a talent.
Bro, not to cut you off, but I feel like sometimes the way I feel about that same thing you're talking about is like, bro, some people just have to just not have that common sense thing. Like, something's just missing or not clicking there because there's no other explanation, bro.
You ever talk to somebody who doesn't understand sarcasm? Like, they literally literally they can't. I think it's that, like, there's like a little piece in their brain, and it might be the same thing for the attention thing. Like, there's just something that's not all the way,
not making the connection.
Yeah, like one of your synapses broken or some shit. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta get that shit looked at. But
yeah, it's gotta be a fault or something that's missing.
That shit is. Oh man, like, you should have a talent. There has to be like some tangible source of energy here where it's like, okay, I may not like enjoy your content at all, but you can't say he can't sing, or you can't say he can't play the piano. You know what I'm saying? Like,
theory about that. Shout out to my boy Freddie. He does a lot of my content, and he helps me a lot with my marketing and stuff. And this is an argument that I have with him. I believe that everybody does have that. They just don't know how to tap into it, or maybe they haven't tapped into it, so they may never show it. But I feel like everybody does have something that exactly what you said. Like, and that's exactly like how I look at my music. I'm like, I want to get it to a point where even if you don't enjoy music or that type of music or anything, you at least understand that this is an elite piece of artwork.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You might say, yo, I don't listen to that kind of music. You can give me a million excuses, but as long as you know that this is dope, that's the point that I'm trying to get to with stuff.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I was listening to one of them like screamo band. You know the one,
metal.
yeah. You know, y'all know the one, the let the bodies hit the floor shit. I was listening to that in my car, and I'm like, this is some wild shit, but nigga, this is fire. Like, if you listen to the music of it, like they was in a bag.
That's
like
exactly
facts.
That's timeless music.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't listen to any kind of music like System of a Down, but when I hear certain songs that they did, I just know how good they got with those instruments and how, like, I know that they took mad practice to get to the point where they was able to lay that down on a track.
Yeah.
Just that fact makes me a fan of theirs, because when I hear it, I know that this is an elite piece of artwork and nobody else is doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only even a few people in the world that could do what they can do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes me respect that. I don't listen to no rock. Like, System of a Down is probably the only band that I listen to that makes that type of music.
I'm about to listen to them on the way home now that you said that. I don't think I know any of their songs. I probably know one if I heard it. But
it wasn't Guitar Hero. They got the BYOB song.
Nah.
Yo,
I missed the Guitar Hero.
You're gonna hear the way they put together the way they arrange the music, the way they play the music, how complicated everything is. You're like, bro, these guys are going off, bro. Like,
that's why that shit still hits today.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm gonna tap in. That's crazy because, like, growing up, I only listened to hip hop and R&B. Obviously, well, not really. Obviously, I can't even say that because that's not even true. But I only listen to hip hop and R&B. But now, bro, rock is all I listen to when I work out, which is crazy. But I just got a more of an appreciation for music. You know what I'm saying? And the energy rock gives me, I rock with it when I work out.
We have recently talked about Quincy is Living Color, the band.
Yeah.
It's a black rock band, and from the 90s, and I believe they won a Grammy for one of their singles, if I'm not mistaken. But they're on the same tip. When you hear them, the guitar player, the drummer, the singer, the bass player, when you hear them and you're like, bro, these guys are ridiculously dope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, you have no option but to respect it and admire the artwork. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to bring it back full circle, bro, my bad, real quick, to bring it back full circle to what you were saying earlier, Jarri, it's like, you know, when you have an open mind, you're able to actually appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? If your mind is closed, you're not going to even try to enjoy it, you know?
Facts.
Closed-minded people aren't even worth speaking to, man. That's another reason why I don't argue with people no more. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like if you think like that, I'm not even going to talk to you about it.
Yeah, bro, like...
Bro, same exact mindset I have. Like, obviously, I'm not gonna be a jerk about it. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm gonna be try to be kind as much as I can be. But it's like, certain people ask me certain questions, and I will give you the driest response because I've already had enough conversations with you to know that you're not thinking the way I'm thinking, so I'm wasting my time. It's exactly what you said, like, about the sarcasm thing. Once I know you're not gonna catch it, I'm not gonna bring it up anymore. You know what I'm saying? You already told me, like, you're not even on that level, so I'm not even gonna go that way with you.
At this point, you're trolling me. Like,
yeah,
you know how you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this sick game that you're playing?
It seems like too.
Get to that point with somebody the other day. I was just giving them a lot of advice, and I was giving them advice on some, like, this may be something that you should keep in mind when you're doing X, Y, and Z. And they were speaking to me from a point where it was just like all ego. Fuck you talking about? I don't. What? Why would I do that? I'm gonna do me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, bro, this is the first and last time I'm gonna ever give you game ever. I don't give bad advice, bro. Like, I have this weird thing with advice because, like, there's been times where I've told people to stop doing something and they're like, man, you don't know what to tell them about. And then they died from the shit that I told them to stop fucking around with. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I have to, like, really, me giving advice is me showing that I care about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit, you know what I'm saying? Because I mind my business a lot. Like, I like, again, like I was saying, like, I can, like, fast forward shit. So if I see, like, a pattern in a person's behavior, I know the outcome of what this, like, if you deal with somebody with, like, a bad temper, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can see what's going to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm, like, offering you genuine, helpful advice, like, that's me being nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a debate. I'm not saying, like, I'm, like, God and I know everything and all of that, but I'm just saying, like, bro, even if I'm wrong about this, this is some information that I know that you should, at the very least, take into consideration, because I know this isn't something you thought about.
I feel that.
You know what I'm saying?
Easily not say nothing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I could just be my introverted self and mind my business and then laugh at you when you crash. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and write a fire-ass joke that you would never know is about you because I changed up the whole body of it. You know what I'm saying? But
it's crazy, bro, because exactly what you're saying. Like, I have a close friend that he leads with his ego, and it messes up a lot of what he does. You know what I mean? And me, like, it's somebody that I really care about, so it's something that it hurts to see it. You know what I mean? But like you said, when that person is leading with ego and you try to extend your hand or say, hey, yo, I'm seeing this, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're just saying something as somebody that cares, and they interpret it a different way because they're leading with their ego.
yeah.
That kind of puts you in that place where it's like, okay, I'm not gonna say nothing because it's gonna affect the situation we got going on. And it's something that me, Joe, and Quincy talk about all the time. Like, one of the reasons why me, Joe, and Quincy are so close is not necessarily how long we've known each other. You know, we've been through something together that, you know, it bonds you for life. Like, it's none of that. It's the fact that we all understand that we're all going through our own journey. And as long as we're all keeping it solid, that's all that matters.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
We're all keeping it solid and we're all progressing. You know what I'm
We're
saying?
able to work together and do stuff and, you know, create and just talk about anything, because all that ego and hard-headed, opinionated bullshit is out the window with us. And it's hard to find with people today in general.
Y'all want to know something? I kind of feel like I do have an unfair advantage that a lot of people don't have. I got my ego killed when I was like a teenager, like when I used to like rap and shit. Remember I was doing like the fucking battles and shit?
Yeah,
like, bro, I was battling like in the neighborhood. Shit is lit. Shit is up. I'm fire. Like, I'm torching niggas. And then I go to the little events. I'm stuttering. I'm nervous. I'm a fucking kid. I'm lying in all of my lines. I ain't never shoot nobody. You know what I'm saying? like, that shit killed my ego. I'm going back to high school and niggas see my videos on YouTube. They see the talent, but they see I'm just like nervous. They just see I'm like fucking up. I'm stuttering. And I'm like...
Bro, I love how you worded that, and I love the intent behind it, because I feel like that's something that I've felt, but I've never had like the right way to describe it, and you described it so perfectly. Like, as a kid, you know, going through certain things, you have your ego killed, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even know how to live on that pretentious time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I've already been at the bottom of that. So there's no way that I could pretend now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what it is. And when you know what it is, that's something that a lot of people don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and you can see it in them too. Like, oh shit. Like, it's kind of like a weakness at this point. Cause like, I don't know, bro. Like, that shit was mad embarrassing. Like, that shit was mad embarrassing. Like, it's like, nigga, I know I can rap, nigga. I was just scared.
Fact,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't practice. You know what I'm saying? And I'm literally like freestyling, battling niggas.
And that was the other thing too. Like, that was the other disadvantage too.
You should have wrote it, my nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that was the thing though too, and that was, I think, something that a lot of us noticed was that you were there freestyling, and there were people there with written. You know what I mean? So it was like
straight
all
written,
of that in play. Yeah,
ready to fucking do their thing, and I'm just like, damn, nigga, I should have wrote. But
bro, that's crazy. Let me give you like two sides of that, right? So you were doing your thing that way. You know what I'm saying? I think I know you know, and I know Quincy knows. I don't know if Joe knows, but I used to be in a rap group. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got signed to a little record label out of Maitland. Like, my first time performing on a stage ever was opening up for 3 6 Mafia at the House of Blues, dog. Like,
God,
that was my first time I hit the stage, and I had the opposite experience of you. Like, I ran out there and I was just like, bro, like, I was like out of body. Like, I'm looking at myself like, bro, you are so cool right now. You know what I'm saying? I was hitting my verse, the hook, like, everything was just perfect. At the end, you know, this was the Joel Santana day, so I had a bandana. At the end of my performance, I threw my bandana in the crowd.
Oh,
People were
shit.
jumping to grab it, dog. Like,
Oh,
I was like,
shit.
like I was on cloud 9. But around this time, I spent a few nights at the laundromat in Wentworth. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like the opposite experience of you, I did have a good experience on stage and I was on the top of the world from that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But in real life, I didn't even have a place to stay.
Yeah.
So it was like a crazy experience where like, I'm like you said, bro, when you live in that and you have your ego killed, bro, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't live in that like fake imaginary mind because you know what the real is.
Right.
You know what real life is. You know what that experience is. You know what that heartache is. You know what I'm saying? So, and it goes back to what we talking about with great artists. When you have that experience so young, like somebody like, let's say a Michael Jackson, bro, 5 years old on national TV, one of the greatest acts, you know, he's already one of the greatest acts of all time. He hasn't even reached 10 years old yet. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like
disgusting to think about.
You're talking about a 5-year-old kid feeling what we're talking about at 5 years old.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, kind of like you said, bro, I can play devil's advocate and see what somebody like that has been through. And I can't judge, bro, because I've never been in those shoes. I don't know what that feels like as a kid. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what somebody does after that point, not justifying it at all for anybody, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you look at it and you say, dang, like a different situation, that could have been me. Nobody controls where they're born. Nobody controls who your parents are. Nobody controls their situation. You're just here.
Damn, some of you just made me think about, right? Like with Michael Jackson being like one of the greats at 5 years old already, because like obviously everybody knows he had like an abusive dad and all that kind of shit. He was making them fucking sing and dance 25 hours a day. I don't really be on TikTok, but I do be catching wind of like some of the shit that be going on over there. And there's like this thing going on right now where people are like policing people who are trying to make their kids stars. Understandably so, because it is like predatory, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you pimping your kid out, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we're never gonna get a Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like somebody gotta be Joe Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need another Thriller, nigga. Let that little nigga in the studio, you know what I'm saying, and make some magic. So it kind of like
another Venus unless we get another Joe.
Bro. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if we're gonna have that the small conversation. I say small. It's more of like a symptom of the problem. That's how I should describe it. The conversation of like, you're pimping your kids out, you're trying to make them celebrities, make money, monetize. We got to look at the whole big picture of it. Like, maybe we should start looking at people like Michael Jackson as like a product of child abuse. Like, he's great, but he's a product of child abuse. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying don't celebrate him and not say he's an icon and all of that shit, but we should advance the conversation more and talk about more than, you know, just his God-given ability to be able to sing, dance, and have rhythm. Let's talk about the mental aspect, because everybody talks about how important mental health is. Let's really dive into.
It's funny, dog, because like I've always thought it was funny, these two dynamics. Like, they call it being a devil's advocate when you're looking at somebody's side, right? But at the same time, that's giving somebody grace. So how is being a devil's advocate also the same thing as giving somebody grace? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, even in the wording, it kind of gives you a connotation like, yo, this is something like, this is evil, this is bad. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
at the same time, you're really just looking at somebody, you know, because, you know, I just know that from me being a kid and just for me being around my son, like, I know how much having somebody there to shape your mind is important. You know what I'm saying? And people are so quick to discount somebody that doesn't have that. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that should be taken so lightly. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like as nature is intended, it's intended for you to have that guidance to kind of lead you into that next generation.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you don't have that, why is there so little grace for those people that don't have that?
That's a fact. That's a fact. And that's another thing. Like, once I really like, man, I just got a lot of shit that I got to get together. But that's another component of like the whole streets is a myth thing that I want to bring the whole conversation to. Like, yeah, like it's about understanding that there's a huge disconnect with the youth and like street culture, but also we're not just going in there and just saying like, oh, lock everybody up and da-da-da-da. Like, let's really get to the root of what the real problem is. Like, these kids are just misguided or not guided at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's really get to what's going on instead of just going on TV and just lock them all up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been seeing the DA of Atlanta get like a lot of praise and stuff, and I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, but I don't want people who don't have these kids' best interests at heart to use her as like some kind of Trojan horse to disguise their hatred for those kids. You know what I'm saying? They're like, it's a black woman locking up black people, so it can't be racist. Let me just put her on a pedestal, and every DA should be like this. The DA is a response to the symptom, but not the response to the cause. Like, really get to the real root of the cause. There's a huge drug problem in America right now. There's a huge education problem in America right now. So if y'all are really trying to stop the crime, get to the source. Like, it's easy to just lock up all of these kids that don't know no better, or maybe they do know better, but they just not really, they don't feel like they had no opportunity. I don't feel like no kid truly wants to spend the rest of their life in jail over no gang shit. They might think going to jail may be cool and da-da-da, but in the root, in their soul, nigga, don't nobody want to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, tap into that. Fix that disconnect.
So, like, speaking like for me, and just because I've seen, me and Quincy kind of grew up the same in Wentworth and everything, like, it's crazy because I look at it from the point of view of, like, me and Quincy, I don't think me and Quincy was any more special than anybody else in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? We just, for whatever reason, had something click in our heads. You know what I'm saying? And I always think about, dang, bro, like, what was the situation that wasn't presented to the other people that helped them click?
I think y'all, because it's kind of I always thought it was the thing with me is that y'all have talent. You know what I'm saying? You got something to pride yourself on and look forward to, and to give yourself hope. Like, damn, nigga, like, I know I can rap. I know I can put shit together. You know what I'm saying? I know I got talent. This shit might lead to something. So let me not get into too much bullshit with these motherfuckers, because these niggas ain't going nowhere. These niggas they wearing their shoes on the wrong feet. You know what I'm saying? They don't got nothing going on for them. I kind of felt like that was a thing that helped me a lot, because, I mean, I've never been super studious and get super great grades and shit, but I always tested well. Like, I always been like one of the elite kids in every single classroom I've been in, you know what I'm saying? So I always felt like, well, shit, at least I know I'm smart. So yeah. if I go home and there's an eviction notice on the door, at least I know how to read. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got something to like feel good about myself, you know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that like kind of goes back to what you were saying, how everybody has this genius level of talent. I feel like if we can start finding a way to give more kids hope and find like that inner light in themselves, like, this shit could change overnight. You know what I'm saying? It really could.
That's a good point. It's a lot of focus on the youth that's needed.
Bruh, I feel like people don't, like, it's weird. Do you love your kid or do you not? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you love your kid or do you not? Like, people are really taking the joy out of kids' lives and just like trying to make them this like political, just militant, like, who? Your kid's a nerd. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You're not giving them any kind of wiggle room to be cool. Like, you're just putting,
like, programming them.
I be trying not to look too hard, bro. Like, I got this thing where like sometimes, like, you ever have somebody around you and you're like just seeing like just some of the bullshit that they be on, but you're not trying to really look at it, because like once you look at it, you're just gonna keep looking at it. I be telling people that all the time, because like if they get in my ear trying to talk to somebody, talk to me about somebody, I'm like, bro, I don't want to talk about them because I don't want to put my eye on them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do that. But I be trying not to put my eye on the way people like present their kids on social media, because kids it's a very nuanced like concept. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody feel like how some parents want to like exploit their kids for money and shit like that. Like, what if their family's like being fucking evicted or some shit, and this is like literally they finally found some like light. You know what I'm saying? So I try not to like judge and shit. So, but some of the ways I be seeing people present their kids, it'd be like mad cringy. Like if there's like a political issue going on and they're posting their kid up holding the sign with like their opinion on it, and I'm like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I definitely know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like shit like that. I'm like, come on.
I had to mute people's stories because I'm like, nah, I can't keep seeing this.
You gonna bring your kid into this bullshit? You don't even know if you're right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and something about that I like, something I specifically think about that situation is, I honestly don't think that it's something new as far as like the way politics have gotten or the way people's opinions have gotten. It's just like I said earlier, this was something that wasn't even a thought before. The fact that we can just, bro, we can have a thought and post it online, not even say it out loud, and hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of people could see, hear that thought, digest that thought, and it's something that you never even said out loud.
Dog, you hitting it on the fucking head. I be saying that shit all the time. Like, we're living in some unprecedented shit right now with social media. Like, we wake up every day and can talk to our, if they're still following us, we can still talk to our exes, co-workers, old teachers, childhood friends you haven't seen since kindergarten, all at the same time.
Bro, I never looked at it